Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes. This is the Astrology, Numerology, and Geodetic AstroCartography mapping forecast for the next, it's usually the week, and we are going to focus on a big astrology event this week, but also the forecast for the hurricane season, which has already started, but in terms of the forecast, it will only intensify. There's a lot to share with you, and we're going to step into that after focusing on the astrology event. Now, first, we did just escape a major hurricane that grew into a Category 5 that moved through the Atlantic north of the Caribbean. Thank God it did not cause damage except for rip currents and high tides. And that was just the beginning. In this episode, we will go into how the astrocartography and geodetic mapping forecasts can help prepare us for the eventuality of either not so much activity, or in this case, a lot of activity. So we're going to get into that shortly, but first I want to just mention that Saturn is going to re-enter Pisces on September 1st. Saturn is currently in retrograde and is conjunct Neptune, the ruler of Pisces. They are going to be merged together and are traveling together, first joining together in Aries, now both moving back into Pisces. And once the Saturn retrograde moves into Pisces on September 1st, the stakes get much higher because Neptune will still be in Aries, the first sign of initiation, of new beginnings, of Mars energy, and because eclipse season starts just as Saturn moves into Pisces, and eclipse season, the first eclipse is in Pisces, a total lunar eclipse in Pisces on September 7th, 6 days after Saturn moves back into Pisces. When a planet is retrograde, especially as it's stationing, which Saturn will still be stationing, it is at its greatest strength. And so this will initiate a lot more activity. The other thing is that Neptune being in Aries, the first sign, Saturn being in Pisces, the last sign, it brings new beginnings and endings. The first and 12th sign, that's a pivot point, that's a change. And Saturn and Neptune, by virtue of what they symbolize, are polar opposites as well. Saturn is connected to grounding and order and restriction and boundaries, and Neptune is about no boundaries, no restrictions, right? Just spiritual transcendence and unconditional love. And so both of them have truly important roles to play, where Saturn governs timing and precise events that are connected to our destiny, and Neptune is the expression, the artistic creative expression, and the ability to move into other realms and to have concepts that are beyond the boundaries, the practicalities that we adhere to in order to live as human beings on earth. So they both mirror the spiritual and the practical side. In the same way, the first and 12th signs and first and 12th houses are indicative of new beginnings and endings and the same messages. So we have on the 28th of August, just to get into some astrology first, we have a big event, Uranus sextiles Neptune. This is a long multi-year transit. It's exact on the 28th of August 2025, again due to a retrograde on November 20th 2025, and next year as well in July, and then in 2027 2 more times. And this is due to the retrogrades these planets undergo. But this is the first one, and the first is always important because it introduces us to the energies. These are slow-moving outer planets. They're both at the very beginning of signs, Uranus in Gemini, Neptune, of course, in Aries, and it's creating a profound spiritual awakening. And it coincides, of course, with all these other events that we're covering with Saturn and Neptune and Pisces and Aries. So you're going to receive some new kinds of answers. Since Neptune is in Aries, it's a new first sign. Solutions to questions that are magnified through your intuition, your dreams, and your interaction with like-minded people or groups, because Uranus governs those, the tribe that you belong to, that you feel comfortable with, that resonates with you. There's a lot more interest in the metaphysical, in the spiritual, just the subject matters are becoming more and more mainstream. There's a focus on compassion and humanitarian service. That's also magnified. And you're seeking answers to questions that the traditional religions and sciences can't resolve or explain. So overall, you're seeking to understand your connection to others, to the collective, to the universal level. So it can really change how you use creativity, how you go beyond where you've ever been before with your exploration and your expression. Your heart is shifting to fully embrace miracles and unconditional love. Now, before we go into the mapping, I just want to mention one more thing in the numerology because it's very important. August, and I'm recording this on August 21st, August is a 17 universal month of tremendous strength. We had the Lion's Gate, which this year was a 888 Lion's Gate. And it's a very big month of gaining courage and feeling the eternal in you, the infinite sense of never-ending energy that will continue, the inner ability to rejuvenate and regroup and gain confidence and strength. Very powerful month. Now, September, therefore, is going to be an 18 universal month. 18 is a very different number. First of all, it can represent the highest unconditional love, healing, wise leadership. 9, which 18 reduces to, is the final single digit. It has a big head at the top, so it has a lot of wisdom. It carries the wisdom of the previous 8 numbers in that big head, but that big head can also be ego. And 18 on the shadow side represents war or disasters or earth events, weather events that are very big. So when we couple that number 18 with the astrology that's being activated through the 2 eclipses as well, and Saturn moving into Pisces, and there's just so much here that's coming together. And to top it all off, we are in a 9 universal year in 2025. 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 equals 9. 18 for September equals 9. 1 plus 8 is 9. So we're going to be in a double 9 frequency, and 9 is culminations, endings. It's like a wave cresting, right? A wave that's about to crash, like a big shift. And 9, like I said, this last single digit, it means we're moving back to 1 after the 9, which will be October. So this is all important because it ties together the pieces of the puzzle when it comes to the geodetic forecasting, the astrocartography forecasting, combined with the number and star codes. Now, I talk a lot more about these topics in my free e-newsletter, so go sign up on my website, taniagabrielle.com. I give tips several times a week that give even more detail beyond the video that you might be watching now. So enjoy that. Just sign up. It's free at taniagabrielle.com. So now it's time for the big event. We're going to look at the astrology charts overlaid on the world map, especially regarding the hurricanes. We're going to start with Uranus sextile Neptune, August 28th, then go to September 1st when Saturn moves into Pisces, and then move to the first eclipse, and that is the Pisces lunar eclipse. And I could go further out into the future, but I will in future forecasts and future videos because there's so much to share regarding what we're going to touch upon today. So here's Saturn, here's Jupiter, here are the 2 lines. These are IC lines. Here you see the brown, and here you see the aqua. IC lines are opposite midheaven lines. They govern the home. So this conjunction between Saturn and Neptune is moving to the west because they're both retrograde. They're moving towards the coast. And here is Uranus, the dotted descendant line, and that governs equilibrium, balance, relationships, off the coast of Texas, moving into Mexico. And let's hone in. You can see these a lot better here now. So these two lines are Saturn and Neptune moving towards, especially the southeast. And here is the Uranus line, the blue line. And so now if I move to the next day, let's go, like that was August 29th right here. You can see they're moving to the west because they're both retrograde. So they're moving towards, especially watch these two lines, moving towards the coast, right? There we go. Okay, so now let's look at the geodetic mapping for the same day, August 28th, 2025. And geodetic mapping is not location specific, meaning this map would be the same no matter where you are in the world. This is basically showing where the planets are depending on the signs that they're in. And here you see that is Aries right there. That's the line for Aries. And as we know, Saturn is about to move into Pisces. So Saturn is right on that Aries line, about to move retrograde into Pisces. And here is Neptune, and they are conjunct. And these are ascendant Saturn-Neptune lines. That means that it's new beginnings. It's a very strong indication of something brewing. And this would be in the Gulf. You can see they're right over the Gulf. So that is very, very powerful. And here you see is where Pisces ends. So Saturn will be moving into this sector, just retrograding into this part. So it's going to stay in the Gulf region the whole time. This is very, very active right now. So it supports the astrocartography as well. Now let's go to the geodetic map for September 1st. This is the day, the first day that Saturn has now entered Pisces. And there is the line for where Aries ends and Pisces begins. And you can see Neptune is still in Aries over the Gulf, and then Saturn is now in Pisces, Neptune's home sign over the Gulf. So the brown line is Saturn, the aqua line is Neptune. These are very powerful AC lines. That means they're ascendant line. They're approaching, they're both retrograde, they're approaching the New Orleans area, Louisiana, Texas, Mexico, and they're basically churning up the Gulf. So the Gulf is a huge area, as is this area approaching Florida and the Southeast. Those are the big areas to watch for during this time. Now remember, we're now going to be moving into the total lunar eclipse in Pisces. So let's have a look at this total lunar eclipse in Pisces now. This is the astrocartography map of the exact time of the eclipse. And you can see Saturn and Neptune are truly approaching now. Again, it's turning up this whole Caribbean and the East Coast, and the eclipse itself, the sun and moon for this total lunar eclipse. Remember, it is in Pisces, and that is the sign that Saturn is now in. It's very powerful. Pisces rules the oceans, Neptune rules the oceans, and the eclipse is over the Gulf. It literally is in the Gulf again. So we have this whole area again activated. Let me move in. You can see right here. Again, it is the southeast coast, especially Florida, this whole area, and then the whole Gulf itself. Really powerful stuff. So now let's move to the geodetic. So now we're in the geodetic map, and look, of course Saturn is still right there, now in Pisces, and Neptune is in Aries for the total lunar eclipse on September 7th. Again, the Gulf being activated. So the same storyline is happening in both astrocartography and geodetic mapping. And there's even more to explore as we move forward into the weeks in September. Remember, it's eclipse month. It intensifies absolutely everything. And there's so much to cover also in other parts of the world, which I will go into, of course, with the geodetic mapping and the astrocartography. Meanwhile, it is very important to just trust your intuition and keep that open mind to look at other frequencies and see how they might impact you. Now, if you want to explore your own lines. That is the most fun to do. New locations to live, new locations to travel that are absolutely fortunate, that are positive, that are supportive for you. You can overlay your own birth chart onto the world map and discover your most fortunate places to travel and to live. I have a free masterclass where you can discover more about astrocartography. It's called AstroCartography, The Power of Fortunate Places, and you can watch it for free at positivelocations.com. It covers so much, including celebrity examples that really hone in on how powerful this science and this divination art really is. So enjoy that free masterclass at positivelocations.com. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you in our next video. Lots of love.